Of course, Seeker.
What can you tell me about voodoo?
My practice is mainly selling charms and potions with magic power, such as gree-gree and voodoo oils. You know, everything from unrequited love to wandering spouses to winning a lawsuit. But my spells and charms are powerful, and they work.
Okay.
What can you...
Much of a voodooienne's work is protecting her clients from the spells of others. I make special protective gree-gree to be worn in secret. They keep evil spells from working against my clients.
What can you tell...
The recipes for voodoo charms have been handed down from master to apprentice for centuries.
What?
I have told you all it is proper for you to know, Mr. Knight.
What do you know?
Why, that has nothing to do with me and my clientele. But I can tell you that you should stay as far from it as possible. There is badness there. Very bad.
So you don't think the voodoo aspects of the case are fake?
Fake? Let me tell you about fake. If I get information through the grapevine and make use of it, is that fake? No. That is part of a voodooienne's power. If people don't believe, there's not much I can do. But if they do believe, that is a part of my power too. But there are things, monsieur. Things not even a little bit fake, I can tell you. Believe it or not, but stay away from it.
Okay.
What do you mean? Do you know something about the case?
I work hard on fine-tuning my spiritual antennae, Monsieur Knight. And I get a clear signal from that direction. Beware.
Beaver.
What can you tell me about Nolans?
Nolans is the center of voodoo practice in the United States.
What can you tell me about Nolans?
It is a fascinating city with many dark secrets.
Okay.
What can you tell me about Nolans?
It is my favorite place in the world.
Do you know anything about snakes?
Snakes? You mean like my beloved Grimwald? She's a python, you know. Quite deadly in the wrong hands. I was trained by one of the great voodoo queens to learn how to hypnotize and handle snakes.
Tell me more about snakes.
Oh, I wouldn't want to give away my trade secrets.
Do you have any idea what Cabri Sankar means?
No, I don't.
Do you know anything about Veves?
I don't know anything about that.
I thought she was a voodoo priestess.
Do you know anything about Marie Laveau?
Oh yes, she was the first of the great voodoo queens.
Tell me about the animal masks.
I saw them used once or twice when I was younger, but you don't see them much anymore. They're too close.
Too close to what?
Just bad karma.
Do you know anything about a secret voodoo houndful?
There are many voodoo churches in Nolans, no?
Yes, but have you heard of a secret voodoo houndful?
Wherever did you hear such a ridiculous story? There is no such thing.
Are you sure?
Do you know anything about black voodoo?
It is the oldest, darkest heart of voodoo.
Do you know anything?
There are some things it's better not to know about, Monsieur Knight.
Does Ogun Badagri mean anything to you?
I don't know anything about that.
Have you ever heard of Dambala?
I don't know anything about that.
Have you ever heard the word Schattenjäger?
I don't know anything about that.
About Grimwald.
What about her?
Where did you get Grimwald?
She belonged to a traveling reptile show. She was being terribly mistreated, so I offered to buy her. She's named after a spirit guide I had once. The spirit Grimwald was a very powerful female snake priestess in Egyptian times.
Grimwald doesn't sound Egyptian.
I only know what the spirits tell me, monsieur. I am sure they know better than we.
How did you learn how to handle Grimwald?
I told you, a great voodoo queen taught me. She learned from Marie Laveau herself.
Uh-huh. Fascinating.
Okay.
Would you consider giving me one of Grimwald's scales?
No, I couldn't do that. You might do some gree-gree of your own, no? One must be very careful with such things. Hair clippings, nail parings, and snake scales.
Are you sure?
I told you, I couldn't do that.
How about showing me how you handle Grimwald?
Really? You would like to see me dance, perhaps?
That would be swell.
No matter what you see, do not be frightened.
I'll give it my best shot.
Except for a shared snakeskin, the cage is currently empty. Gabriel grabs the shed snakeskin while Magenta is otherwise occupied.
I have no idea what that will do.
There. Truly inspiring, isn't it?
That's certainly one word for it. Could I ask you a few more questions?
Certainly.
Tell me about yourself.
Yes? What would you like to hear?
How did you get into this business?
I trained in the voodoo arts for many years with the great Queen Tabitha.
Really? Who's she?
You have never heard of her? For shame! I can see you know little of the world of magic.
I'm beginning to get that impression, yes. What kind of people come to see you?
Seekers after the truth, such as yourself.
Do you do anything else?
I'm a voodooian. That is plenty. It takes much spiritual effort.
How many voodooians are there?
No one knows exactly. Many practice in secret. There are probably hundreds. But of course, the level and the power of the voodooians differ greatly, depending on their training and natural gifts.
As anything.
Tell me anything at all.
I haven't always lived in Nolans. I came here from Kansas as a young woman.
Tell me anything at all.
I began studying voodoo more than 20 years ago. I'm well versed in the magical arts.
Tell me anything.
Many non-believers come to me. They are usually believers when they leave.
Tell me anything at all.
Dr. John sends me many seekers, such as yourself.
Tell me
I am happy here with my clientele and my snake.
I can't think of anything.
Very well.
Dr. John tells me you're a voodoo practitioner of some kind.
Yes, I'm a voodooienne, a voodoo priestess.
Nice place you've got here.
Thank you. For me, it's a sort of temple.
I can see that. Do you get many people in here on an average day?
Some days, the need for my power is greater than others. But I have many regular clients who would be lost without my vision, Mr. Knight.
I can imagine. That's a great-looking mask on the wall.
It's from Africa. A gift to me from Queen Tabitha.
Do you know Dr. John well?
Oh, yes. We are old friends. Those with gifts are often drawn together.
So let's say I came to you wanting to attract a woman. What would you advise?
I wouldn't think you have any trouble attracting women, Mr. Knight.
No, I guess I don't. So what advice do you give your clients?
I tell them to follow the light, be aware of the darkness, and always get expert spiritual advice from someone with the sight.
That's what I thought you'd say. Give me an example of Gree-Gree.
All right, here's an old one. Take a lodestone and some brimstone to a crossroads at midnight. Light the brimstone with a match. A spirit will come and give you advice in gambling. Here's an old hoodoo, Dr. Gree-Gree. Place a dime under your client's tongue. If the client is under a spell of any kind, the dime will turn black.
Give me an example of Gree-Gree.
To send someone away, take a rotten egg and write that person's name on it 9 times. You can also write on it where you want to send that person to. Take it and throw it against his door at midnight.
I bet that would help.
Give me an example of Gree-Gree.
Here's a nasty one. To kill someone, get a sock or shoe that belongs to that person. Put graveyard dirt in it and bury it under their front steps.
Does that work?
I don't know. I never tried it.
Give me an example.
To ensure the safety of your child, cut a lock of its hair while it is still a baby and keep it with you. The child must have all its hair before it can die.
These are interesting.
They're very old. The Gree-Gree that I prepare is much more powerful, I can assure you. But I don't give out those secrets.
What's the significance of St. John's Eve?
St. John's Eve. It is the greatest night of the voodoo year. There is always a traditional conclave on St. John's Eve. Most of our voodoo churches these days hold functions in the church hall. But in the old days, they had ceremonies out in the wild. They wore animal masks and had a huge bonfire and dancing. I used to go when I was an apprentice. Sometimes in the swamp, you know, Bayou St. John. Sometimes at the lake, Lake Pontchartrain. What about her?
Tell me anything at all.
You have to be careful when handling a snake. They're more delicate than they look.
I'll bet.
Yeah.
Tell me anything at all.
Many people are afraid of snakes. Isn't that silly?
Totally.
Completely.
Tell me anything at all.
Snakes shed their skins from time to time. You have to be especially careful of them when they're shedding.
I'll keep it in mind. Tell me anything at all.
Grimwald is very responsive to vibration. She doesn't recognize her name, but if I stomp 3 times,